Hey, what it do, y'all? It's your boy E2 Blue coming back at you again, and it is Saturday. It's the weekend. You already know how that go. Tomorrow night, Cowboys play the Eagles at the Cowboys Stadium, AT&T Stadium, 8:20 Eastern Standard Time. Um, Head-to-head matchup, baby. Um, both of these teams have big injuries. Um, I think the Cowboys are probably in a little bit more better shape than the Eagles are because a lot of the players that were projected to not play for the Cowboys the earlier part of the season are probably now going to play, which is a good sign for the Cowboys because the Cowboys are going into a bye week next week, and you do not want to go into a bye week on a 4-game losing streak. That's what you don't want to do. Um, hmm. So, some things to talk about, obviously. Now, both teams come into this game 3-3. The winner of this game gets sole possession of first place in NFC East, which is not saying a whole lot because the Redskins and the Giants are faltering. Now, the Giants could actually win their game this weekend. Redskins are playing the 49ers, so I don't know about that. 49ers they're reeling right now. They're undefeated. I think they're the only team in the NFC that's undefeated. So I guess shout out to the 49ers for doing a damn thing this season so far. But again, season is a marathon. Anything can happen. They can fall apart. The Cowboys can come back, which they normally do. I'm gonna bet on my team for doing that because again, last season we were 3-5 and came back. But the only difference between last season and this season is this middle portion of the stretch is going to be a real difficult stretch because we got the Patriots coming up. We got that mighty Bills defense coming up. Now, going into the offseason, I looked at the Bills game and I scoffed at it because I was like, oh, it's going to be a W. But now seeing what they're doing this year and how they're beating people with their defense and how much trouble they gave Tom Brady when they played him, the only reason why the Patriots even won that game is because of the Patriots defense scoring touchdowns. If it wasn't for that, they had Tom Brady on straps. So that gives me a little pause going forward. And of course, you got the Bears defense playing them in cold weather. Again, a lot of these teams that you're playing in cold weather and these good teams coming up, the Cowboys definitely have to show and prove. Now, one thing we know about our Cowboys, they have a tendency to play up to the level of the team that they're playing, and they also have a tendency to play down or even lesser than what that team is, i.e., getting beat by the Jets. Um, and speaking of the Jets, they're riding high right now. I think they're playing the Patriots this week, and there's people out there saying that they might upset them. Again, hey, it's any given Sunday. You never know what's going to happen. Now, as far as these two 3-3 teams, it's a lot of similarities. Their talent level is about equivalent right now. They know each other very, very well because they're division matchup teams. But like I said, the Eagles, I think, is a little bit in a little tougher situation than the Cowboys because they have a little bit more injuries than the Cowboys have. They have so much injuries that they actually picked up our old cornerback, Orlando Scandrick. Now, Orlando Scandrick has, he's just that arrogant type of guy. Rubbed a lot of people the wrong way when he was with Dallas. I liked him when he first was with Dallas. I mean, he had a pretty good season with Dallas. Towards the end, he had started having injuries and he just became a guy that just people just got tired of his attitude. So that's just the way he is, I guess. That's just the way O is. Now he's with the Eagles and he's talking about trying to do some things on defense. And his confidence is whatever. So it is what it is. So to the injuries. Now for Dallas Cowboys, you look at the injury report. Anthony Brown, he had a hamstring last game. Byron Jones, he also had a hamstring last game. That's your two starting outside cornerbacks that you need. You need at least one of them to play. And I think that Byron is going to play. He's questionable, but I think Byron's going to play. Anthony Brown has already been told that he's out, so he's not playing. So obviously his hamstring is a little bit more severe than Byron Jones's is. And now one one situation I question is the Amari Cooper thing. Now, I don't know if they just been going back and forth because they want the Eagles to sweat a little bit. I don't know. But it was said in the beginning of the week that he was not only going to be out for this game, but for games going forward. Apparently, his bruise that's on his thigh, his quad, is stretches around his thigh. He injured it on his second pass of the game. Well, the first pass of the game, and it got worse the second pass, and he couldn't. He just said, "Hey, I can't run." So as you let him tell it, it's been getting better and better every day. But we'll see come game time. Now they're saying that he's going to play, but me personally, I believe it's going to be a game time decision. But you want Amari Cooper to play because he is an Eagles killer. You see what he did last game against Rasul Douglas and scoring those 3 touchdowns and getting the Cowboys that victory in the overtime game against them. Now, I think it's imperative that he plays, but you also have to realize too we have a bye week next week too. So if you get him in there, get a couple plays in, and then rest him, let some of these other guys come in and do their thing. Gallup definitely needs to step up because he's not just a second wide receiver. He is a 1A, I should say. He is a second wide receiver that can play like a number 1, but he's not a number 1, obviously. But I got big confidence in Gallup. Gallup just had a bad game. You got to give him credit. He came back from that injury, had 113 yards receiving, and then, again, you're coming back from surgery. Things happen. He says, "Hey, there's no excuses," and you're right. There's no excuses. If the ball touches the hand, you gotta catch it, no matter if it's high, whatever. But he already said that he's going to do a better job at that. So I think the Gallup's going to have a good game as well, regardless if Cooper plays or stays in the game or whatever the situation may be. But you want Amari Cooper playing in this game because you can, I'm not saying guarantee him win. I'm not going to talk like Doug Peterson, but I will say that with Amari Cooper in there, you have definitely a much better chance of winning your game. Randall Cobb was dealing with his back tightness. He should be playing this game. He's listed as questionable, but I'm pretty sure he's going to play. Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins, they both came back to practice on Friday, so things are looking good for them. They could possibly be game time decisions as well going forward. Joe Looney, I didn't know he had an injury, but apparently he has a back injury, but he's a backup. But you definitely want him active because if something happens to one of these guys, you want to make sure you can plug Joe Looney in there because Joe Looney has starting experience now when Travis Frederick was, out last year. Dorrance Armstrong, he had that neck stinger in the game, and he's listed as questionable as well. He may play, and even if they do play him, he'll be a rotation because they got some guys in there to fill the void. And I already talked about Byron Jones. I think he's going to play though. But Jordan Lewis is more likely going to start for Anthony Brown, which is great because you all know we've been talking about this forever. Jordan Lewis should have been starting from Jump Street. But, because Chris Richard likes his tall, lanky, long-armed guys, Jordan Lewis doesn't fit. His size doesn't fit the mold of Chris Richard. But you got to come up off of that sometimes. If this guy is making plays and proving that he can play, you need to start that man and play him. I understand that Anthony Brown may be a faster player, but speed doesn't matter when it's coming to breaking up the pass and getting the ball out of that receiver's hands, so he's not catching it. So you look at it like that. Jordan Lewis makes plays. He comes in at the little time that he does play, and he's got more interceptions on the defense than anybody else does. So that's all I'm saying. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles now. I was talking about their injury report. Darren Sproles is out with a quad. Deshaun Jackson is out with an abdomen. Jason Peters is out with a knee. Tim Jernigan is out with a foot injury. Nigel Bradham is out with an ankle. Avonte Maddox, you remember his injury in that Green Bay game. Concussion, neck, he's out. And Ronald Darby is the only one on here that's questionable with his hamstring. So you look at their decimation. That's why they brought in Orlando Scandrick to try to help out Rasul Douglas and those other guys. So we'll see what happens in this game. So you look at the Eagles and the Cowboys. The Eagles are 18th in offense, 18th in defense, 16th in passing, and 15th in rushing this week. The Cowboys are 3rd in offense, 11th in defense. We went down a little bit after that Jets game. Oof. Lord Jesus, we got gashed. Um, third in passing and fifth in rushing. Now, one thing I do know about my team is, once you get embarrassed like that, especially with a team that you're supposed to beat, um, you don't want that nasty taste in your mouth. And I know these players do not want to go into this bye week with another loss because that's just more lingering issues that you got to deal with, and it's just more stress, and then the media is going to be attacking you. It's a lot to deal with. So they got to come in here and do their thing. Carson Wentz comes in this game this season, 61.2 completion percentage against Dak's 69.7 completion percentage. Now, their numbers are very similar. And ever since they've both been in the league, their numbers have always been similar, which is the reason why I'm saying if you say that Dak sucks, you got to say that Carson Wentz sucks because freaking numbers don't lie. You look at these numbers and their numbers are side by side. So do I think that Dak needs to get paid? Hell yeah, you need to pay Dak. It ain't Dak's fault that well, I'll get into that in a minute because you about to have me on a tangent. Anyway, so 243 yards passing, yards per game for Wentz, 313.8 passing yards per game for Dak Prescott, and they're only a touchdown off from each other. Carson Wentz has 12 touchdowns and 3 interceptions for the year. Dak Prescott has 11 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So definitely want to keep those numbers down for Dak as far as the interceptions go. But they always say that you can't make an omelet without an omelet without cracking a couple of eggs. And him cracking them eggs is sometimes throwing that ball and taking chances because you don't want to be a lame duck offense. Now, real quick, I just want to say, these are part of my keys to the game. Now, the Eagles are not great at pass defense. Now, they're better at their running defense, but I think Ezekiel Elliott can still get the ball run on these guys because he's always had success with this team. Dak is going to have to throw the ball downfield. We're going to have to see some play action. The things that they were doing in the first 3 games in the season, I don't give a damn who the opponents were. You don't change what you're doing that works. And it's been proven to work. You got a quarterback that's mobile, that can move around, and you have the threat of that running back, and you have a threat of a rookie running back as well with Pollard that you can throw in there with Ezekiel Elliott, and do some plays. Just it's not even trickery. It's just fundamental football. And these are things, when you have the personnel to do these, and this is what kills me about our team. We have the personnel to do these things. They just choose not to. And I'm not blaming Kellen Moore for that because, again, Kellen Moore is the play caller, but he's still running Jason Garrett's offense. So what's happening is, and I'm tired of these talking heads talking about, well, Kellen Moore's running the plays. He should do something different. Okay, but he still has to be allowed to do it because Jason Garrett's job is on the line. And Jason Garrett, I doubt that Jason Garrett is just sitting there allowing everything to happen. As a head coach, you are still there looking at everything they do. It's like, look, this is the group of plays that I want you to look through, and you could choose from here. But what if Kellen Moore doesn't want to choose from that because the situation is different and it doesn't dictate what you're asking him to do? If Kellen Moore and or Dak Prescott see something different on the field, they should be able to audible and do something totally different than what Jason Garrett asked them to do. Now, I don't know if he's hindering them from doing that, but looking at these last 3 games and losing and not making damn adjustments, it definitely sounds like something that we were going back to with Linehan. Because Kellen Moore, don't have that mindset like Linehan does. So I know that ain't Kellen Moore's decision. So don't sit here and tell me, talking heads and people that think they know about the Dallas Cowboys, that Jason Garrett ain't got nothing to do with the play calling. Man, shut that crap up. You guys should know better than anything. If you guys are NFL analysts, you're supposed to be professionals at knowing about football. You're supposed to know the sport. If you don't know it, then you need to get your ass off of there and not making millions of dollars. You need to have me up there because I know what the hell I'm talking about. Now, am I going to always be right? Hell no. Ain't nobody right all the time. But you got to be educated and smart and do your research. If you don't know what you're talking about, get off the camera. Get off the camera. I'm sorry. Look, I'm just saying, it doesn't make any sense. When you look at this team and the mediocrity that we've had for years, it gets frustrating after a while, And when Linehan left, you have Kellen Moore here, but I just feel like we're not going to get over that hump until something happens with Jason Garrett. Now, I like Jason Garrett to the fact that, again, the philosophy is still there. The players still play for him. I mean, that whole handshake, and everybody was looking too deep into that. I think that the players still like their coach. It's just that he's just too conservative for what we're trying to do. His mentality and the way that he runs this offense does not work with the personnel that we have. You understand what I'm saying? That's the biggest issue here. Listen to me. The type of dynamic players that we have on this offense and defense do not match what Jason Garrett is. You look at a fiery guy like Chris Richard on defense. If you get and I'm not talking about like a coach that's just going to yell all the time. That doesn't mean you're a great coach because you're yelling. I don't care if Jason Garrett's not yelling, but what I need him to do is not sit here like a lame duck and just go out here and take chances and make adjustments when needed. You see this team is not scoring in the first half of the game and losing by teams that you shouldn't be losing to when you have all this talent. You knew that Tyron Smith was out. You knew that Lyle Collins was out, but you chose not to give help to your undrafted rookie right tackle and your veteran left tackle playing that position at that time, struggling. You see him struggling, but you don't get tight end help over here. You don't get a fullback to chip him off. You don't get a running back to chip him off. You don't get help on this side. You just be like, you know what, we're just going to run what we do, and this is what we do. No, it ain't what you do, because what you do is not working. If it ain't working, you change it. This is the reason why the Patriots win every damn year, because they change every year, and they don't care about Pro Bowlers because they have everybody out there that's capable of doing their job 24/7. That's another thing. And we talked about this year being excited about getting depth on this team. We do have depth on this team, but if that depth, that second person can't do exactly what the person in front of him can do, you have to make adjustments. And that's what it's about. Period. I don't want to hear nothing else, because that's what it is. You have to make the necessary adjustments, because if you're not making these adjustments, then you have nothing, and you're done. That's it. And then you're gonna fall 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, 8-8. This is America's team. We have too much talent, and we're just wasting it right now. Even Tony Romo said this is reminiscent of 2007. And it's got Jason Garrett's footprints all over it. So because of that, you need to change what you're doing, because it ain't working. Now, I'm off of my pedestal. Now, those are the keys to victory. Yeah, adjustments. The things that you were doing in the beginning of the season, play action, running things out of shotgun, running some RPO. Every time they run a wheel route, it works. Every time. You get Ezekiel Elliott on a 20-yard catch. I don't care. Even when Amari Cooper is in the game, you use Tavon Austin, because so that way when he's not there, Tavon can still get this done. You see in the last game when they used Tavon more, they used Cedric Wilson more, things happen. He was able to do things. You got guys on this team with speed like Devin Smith and Tavon Austin. They talked about when they got Tavon Austin that they were going to use him for his speed. You talk all of this mess but do absolutely nothing with it when it comes time to do it. If this roster was with the Packers organization, they'd probably be undefeated. If this roster was with the Patriots organization, they would probably be undefeated. But because the way that we run things, and I don't want to hear nobody tell me that it ain't about coaching. Yes, the players do need to execute. And I talk about this all the time, about executing. But sometimes the players look like, hey, this ain't going to work, so why am I doing this? So sometimes they just feel like, I don't even really want to run this play because I'm not confident in it that it's going to work because it's trash. It's the same thing we're doing. The defense knows what we're going to do. When you got Sam Darnold in his post-game interview saying, oh, the Dallas Cowboys do what they do. Everybody knows the lame duck stuff with it. Stop doing it. Stop. I swear to God, if you make adjustments, this team will be much better. That is the key. Ain't nothing else. That's the key, y'all. That's the key to victory. Also too, and on a realistic standpoint, and I will say that Whoever wins on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, this team is going to win this game. Period. It starts the trenches. That offensive line has to hold up, and it does help if we get Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins back. It's going to help. You know that they're weak in their secondary. Throw the ball on them. If you got Amari Cooper in the game, throw the ball in. Even if you don't use him all the time, use him as a decoy because his presence out there alone helps Michael Gallup. His presence alone helps Tavon Austin. His presence alone helps Cedric Wilson. His presence alone helps Randall Cobb and anybody else that's catching the damn ball on his offense and the tight ends as well. I think you need to use Blake Jarwin on some seam routes because that works. Jason Witten, use him on goal line stands and 3rd and 7s. Use it. Utilize what you have. Jason Witten said, I couldn't said it better himself. Now, I hate that he had to yell at Kellen Moore about it because Kellen Moore looking like, look, I'm trying, man. This is what Jason Garrett giving me. I need something else. He's like, look, field goal, I'm going to say this as clearly as I can. Field goals ain't going to cut it. We need touchdowns. That's what we need. And if the Cowboys score touchdowns, they're going to win. And my prediction for this game, 27-24, Dallas Cowboys. Let's go. Because, again, I think that at the end of the day, the Eagles are not going to be able to hold up on their injuries. It's just too many losses for them. So, with that being said, y'all, it's your boy E2 Blue, always keeping it real. And how about them Cowboys?